Hi, everyone. So I had to record this one instead of doing it live, just because our monthly meeting is tonight and I have to spend half the day with my grandkids, and there just wasn't time to do our live at the right time. So I'm coming to you with prompt number 5. This is our writing class, The Beauty Remains. And as a reminder, as I always do, I'll remind you, we're using all of the prompts that are in this journal. You don't have to have this journal, but you can find it on Amazon. But you can write it on paper, type it up, put it in another journal, whatever you want. So because in this journal, there are a couple pages to write, there's an artistic reflections page and important lessons learned. Um, Make sure that you have enough room for all of that if that interests you. All right, so the prompt this time, number 5, is write about a particularly challenging moment during your treatment and how you overcame it. And maybe you aren't even there yet. You know, maybe those treatments haven't started, and that's okay. You can pass on this one and come back to it later. But I will share with you and I don't want to scare anyone. I don't want to make it like it was dramatic, but I don't want to worry anyone. But so my cancer treatments were like 15 years ago. So it's been a while. They do things a little bit better now, I think. But at the time, I had had 2 lumpectomies trying to get all of the DCIS out of my breast. And after they took those big chunks out, they cut them open and found invasive tumors. And so I went in for an MRI, I think. And that MRI showed just a snowstorm through both sides of my breast. And so I went in for some random biopsies. Now, these are needle biopsies. And at the time, our life was crazy. It was 2008, and we were dealing with losing some homes that we were building. My husband had an appointment that he had to be to. And I said to him, it's okay, go ahead. You go to your appointment. Don't cancel it. I know it's important. I'll just go. I'll have these biopsies. Just pick me up here later. And then I went in to the radiologist and they did some needle biopsies. Now, if you've never had a needle biopsy before, all I can tell you is I didn't see the instrument that they used, but what it felt like and what I think happened was it was almost like they pulled a trigger on something and the needle went in and kind of went like this and grabbed some tissue and came back out. That's what it felt like. And I think that's kind of what it was, but I can't be positive. Um, we did 19 of those and with no numbing at all. And I didn't know that was going to happen. Um, and so we did like 7 on one side or 8 on one side and 8 on another. I can't remember. It was, or however many 19 is. See, it's traumatic for me. I can't remember how to count. Anyway, we did a lot. I guess 10 on one side, 9 on the other. And they were just random, which was the excuse that the radiologist used for not numbing my skin, because he said, I don't, normally when we go in with a needle biopsy, which I had already had one done, we numb it all, like we know where it's pointing. We use we can see where it's pointing. Usually there's like a lump in there. And so we just point the needle and we numb it all the way down and then we take it out, and that's how we do it. And because they didn't, it was just random, it was all over the place, we wanted random samplings, he's like, I don't know where to numb it, so he didn't. And I remember getting done with the first side and thinking, what was I was in such shock and so much pain and just tears streaming down my face. And I remember him saying, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And he goes, I'm sorry, we have to do the other side. I'm like, just get it over with. Like, So they finished and they packed my whole chest with ice and then wrapped this big band thing around it. And he said to me, I've never done that many random biopsies before. And from now on, I will be putting my patients under. And I was like, well, thanks, you know. Um, and you guys probably have had traumatic things. Obviously, you have breast cancer, so you've probably had traumatic things happen with in your journey. Um, and you maybe reacted better than I did, but I was not a happy person at that point. My husband drove up to the hospital and I walked out kind of like this, and he was like, what happened? And I told him, and he was angry, and oh, it was so hard. However, it says how you overcame it. I don't know if I overcame it. It bothered me for a really long time. But I eventually saw like, okay, I understand the randomness of it. And by the way, they didn't find anything else. Um, but I feel like it was a step that we needed to take to get to the point where my husband would understand that we needed to do a bilateral mastectomy because he didn't want me to go through something like that. But after this whole thing happened, I was able to go and take my MRI results up to one of our good friends from high school, who's a radiologist at University of Utah, specializing in breast cancer. And he looked at those and said, if it was my wife, she'd be on the table like that. And so I think the whole process of it helped my husband a lot to go, okay, let's just go for it. And I think it was a step that I had to go through too. So um, again, I don't know that I overcame it, but I came to look at it in a little bit different way. And hopefully you can look at some of the things that you have to do during your treatments in a way that will show you that, yeah, it was needed, or it helped me, maybe not at the time. Anyway, okay, so and in the artistic reflections, I did not take a picture. So I probably won't put anything there, but maybe I'll do some mixed media or something. Important lessons learned from that experience. I think I just answered that. And then the quote that I'll leave you guys with is by Melissa Etheridge. And she said, once I overcame breast cancer, I wasn't afraid of anything anymore. All right, you guys, I hope you have a good time this week writing out your answer to the prompt, and we'll see you next week.